Welcome to Surviving with She Rich, the talk show where we help those silenced by trauma regain their voices. I'm your host, Dr. Sherry Richardson. Join my guests and me as we share inspiring stories of resilience and practical steps toward healing within a supportive community. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started on this empowering journey from trauma to triumph, surviving to thriving, one story at a time. Welcome to Surviving with She Rich, the virtual talk show where I help those silenced by trauma regain their voices. I'm your host, Dr. Sherry Richardson, and I'm so thankful to be here for this episode. The person who's joining me today is very special to me. We haven't known each other long. When you think about time, we we actually have known each other several years, but it
Mhm.
was through the reconnection, I think, that we got closer. And so I want everybody to take a moment to welcome my guest today. Her name is Tiana Solis. Hey, T.
Hi.
And you and I we met
Mhm,
before we connected. And I'm going to clarify what I mean by that in a minute. So
mhm,
we met at a previous school that we both worked in.
mhm,
We only knew each other for a short time. We really didn't even interact much in our at our previous employer. And then some time lapse in between. And then we ended up in the same school, the last school that I was in.
mhm,
And at that point is where I say we actually connected because we met
mhm.
probably what, 2 years before?
2 years prior,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 years prior, right? And then we actually connected when we reconnected at our, the school where I finished out my K-12 education. And so I think about that time, it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny because you tried to avoid me
I
when
did.
we
I
met
did.
again. You did, you really did. But what I think is so awesome is the fact that when we met, I believe that that was just the introduction so that we would know who each other was. But when we reconnected, I truly believe that that was something God ordained because it was at a point in time in your life when you needed me. And so I thank him that although it started off funny, and I'm gonna tell this story really, really quickly. when when we when we separated from the
Mhm.
first job, Tiana ended up going to a different school. And so we kind of went our separate ways. But what I didn't realize is there something had taken place where she was like, okay, this is not where I need to be. And so I need to shift. And so you thought I knew and was involved in whatever the situation was. And so when we reconnected, you kind of ran from me. Like you literally
That's
don't,
a
don't let us see me. Don't let and I was all excited. I was like, oh, I remember her. And you were like, oh, I remember her. I want to say before we even get there, I am so proud of you. I know what this month is to you.
mm,
And I know how it has impacted you and it affects you. So the fact that you are here during this time, I just first want to say thank you. I love you for that. I appreciate it. And I just needed to share that. So now I'm going to allow the audience to kind of know who you are. So tell them about T. I call her T. It's Tiana, but I call her T. Tell them about you, who you are, maybe how you grew up. Like, give us a little bit about you so that they know who Tiana Solis is.
okay. Well, I will say I should be T to everyone. I
Mhm.
do not like being called Tiana. So I am originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Born and raised. I started my career out as actually a substitute teacher in education. And honestly wasn't sure where I was going to go with that because
Right.
truly my career path was computer engineering. Did that for
Wow.
a whole year and a half. Don't,
Really?
don't know why I thought I wanted to shatter the glass and be an engineer, but that was a year and a half. And then eventually I said to myself, I love math. It don't love me that much. So, so
I get it.
I transferred schools. So I originally started at City College, then I transferred
Okay.
schools. I ended up at Hunter College, right up there in the Upper East Side, and then I finished there with a sociology degree. And so, of course, I'm like, what do I do with a sociology degree?
Hmm.
So at the time, I had applied for both a school counseling program as well as a teaching program because at the time I was working as a teen advisor at the YMCA.
I can
And
see that.
it was in
Mhm.
that moment that I realized kids actually vibed with me. And I thought it's so strange. Because as
Really?
yes, I thought it was so strange only because I feel like teenagers can be so easily turned off by adults. I like this age group. Like I can talk to them, they understand me, they're opening up to realize that I'm wanting to understand them.
Mhm.
So in that, I realized, okay, whichever program I get, I'll do. Ended up being accepted to both. I said, oh, so I actually have to do make a choice. I ended up choosing counseling only because I did realize that I am someone who asks why, right? Why is
Mm.
this? Why is that? I don't, surface level is not enough for me. And I
Right.
think being a teacher, having all the responsibilities that you have in a classroom, I wouldn't have been able to connect in the way that I wanted to. So I ended up
Mm.
choosing the program at Brooklyn College. Go
Right.
Brooklyn. And it was an amazing, exhausting 2 years.
Mhm.
But I loved learning all the things that I learned. And then finally, COVID hit and
Yes.
counselors were on a freeze.
Hmm.
And so at the time, just to be able to be in the schools, I did substitute teaching.
Okay.
Um, so I did it at my old high school. I also did it at my old elementary school. And then I was with fifth graders right before I moved down here, and then
Woo.
just applying for jobs, right?
Ooh.
Super drastic shift,
Yes.
drastic.
Fifth
And
grade. Hmm.
but you know what? I didn't think I would be able to bond with them because honestly, anyone under high school grade, I just side-eye them. But
Look, and I see that because you know you give a good bombastic side eye.
right, so I didn't even realize that even in that short period of time that I would have connected with them, and I actually still have their farewell cards to me. And they just made me cry. I'm like, why are you guys doing this to me? Why are you doing it?
And I'm going to backtrack just for a minute because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this whole computer thing. Because I'm like, you are so sociable. You you interact with people. Like you do
I
need your moments when you're like, I don't want to be bothered with anybody. I need to have my ice. So that part I could see, but holistically as a person, that just surprises me because I'm saying she is so like you connect to people so easily and you have so much to pour in. So I'm actually glad that didn't work out for you. I love how you found your way,
yeah.
how you found, and I think about that because you and I have dealt with young people for so long,
Hmm.
whether on all levels, elementary, middle school, high school. I'm now dealing with little people. I mean, I'm talking 3 month old up to pre. Yes, that's what I'm doing in this afterlife of mine of retirement. But we dealt with children for so long and young people for so long, it just it allows us to know the impact that we make
Yes.
with them. And so I'm glad that you found your way because it's your vibe, it's your thing. You are operating in your grace place, doing what God called you to do because you're so effective, you're so impactful. And that is one of the things that I love about you, overachiever.
Yeah, very much so overachiever.
Mhm.
But
Look,
no
like now I'm about to ask, where do you think that comes from?
trauma. Let me stop. I
Most of
definitely
the what? Most of the time it does. Hmm.
no, I think definitely growing in the household that I grew up in, being mediocre wasn't an option.
Mm,
It wasn't. And, having the mom that I had with regards to, her being amazing in her field, she did government securities and all the things that that entails, couldn't tell you to this day.
mm,
But, her job required her to be her very best.
mm.
And in her house, it was you shoot for the stars because you should and you can. And it's there for you. And yes, are there going to be obstacles, but you're going to do it because you want to be amazing. And I think having my mom as such a cheerleader where there was no day that existed where I honestly couldn't be amazing, but also still supported if that occurred,
Right.
right? But her building that foundation for me of wanting to be more. And I honestly joke to this day, I'm like, why can't I just be basic? Because being brilliant is expensive.
Hello.
Brilliant is expensive,
It's
okay?
costly in more ways than one.
Ooh, it is expensive to be brilliant,
Yes.
but I've also realized that I am someone where simple things are not enough.
Mm-mm.
Not enough. As much as I want to be simple, I
Yeah.
can't.
You can't.
I can't do
You
it. I
can't.
can't. So
That's
I've just
so
had to
true.
accept that in
That is
myself.
so true.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes. I see that. I see that. And we're going to talk about your mom in a moment, because that's really why we're here today. And so as you explain how you got to where we are today, obviously she has had a major impact on you. Growing up, what she instilled in you, what she imparted in you. And so I want you to kind of talk about her, because one thing obviously you're going to share is she's no longer with us.
Mhm.
And so talk about your mom. Talk about her, because there's so many things that you hold on to and so
Mhm.
many things that you hear her say
Oh,
as
I
you
do.
make decisions and as you go through, you're like, oh, okay. So,
Mhm.
so tell us a little bit about her.
So actually, I'm wearing her name right now.
Love
So
that.
Tara.
Yeah.
Her name was Tara, and she's probably one of my best friends in the entire world. Now, I will say the dynamic of an older child, an older daughter, and their mother can cause a lot of friction. And I think definitely navigating in the world where my mother was the youngest of her six siblings, but then I was the oldest of mine. The
Oh,
res being able to see the level of responsibility to
mhm.
what it had to be was very different because
Got it.
her perspective was different because
Right.
she was the child that had to be taken care of, right? From her older siblings. And then me
Hmm.
being placed into that role, growing up in a single household, I became another parent with her, right?
Wow.
And I think that dynamic, of course, caused like a lot of tension sometimes. There would be times where we could be amazing together. People honestly would see us together and think that we were sisters just because of like just seeing us exist in the world. We
Right.
laughed, we talked. I made fun of her a lot, all of the time.
That
I
I believe, because you are a low-key comedian. Yes, you are.
all of the time. Like I look back at
Hmm.
chat reels and it's just always, I'm just like, Ma. She's like, T, leave me alone. Okay. Fine. Right. Um, but I think us growing with each other and us, me being her first and oldest child, it was such a different responsibility when my younger sister came along
Right.
and me kind of losing the ability to maintain being a child. My
Hmm.
sister and I are 12 years apart,
Okay.
basically. So my mother always considered us only children because we are very different.
Right.
Right? And
Wow.
so in that, I had to develop and grow up older
Yeah.
very quickly.
Quickly.
And I think with that, that's where the tension came because it's like, okay, I'm partnering with you, but then you have to be in mommy mode too, where you're trying to tell me what to do. And I'm like, why?
Mm. Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
like we
It's
could see
hard
eye
to
to eye.
flip those hats. It's hard to change those. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
Turn things on and off. Right.
And I definitely grew up in a household. This is my house. I said, oh,
Hmm.
okay. This your house. You got
It's your house. Then do
it.
it. Then
All
then do
right.
it then.
Right. Right. And I think even with my mom and I having our moments where certain things, because I feel like in many cultures, when certain traumatic events occur,
Mhm.
it's you don't really talk about it
Right.
thing. And I think for me, when that occurred for me, and that put a little bit of a strain on our relationship for a while.
Hmm.
And it was hard to know that I love this woman, I love this person, but a part of me is also feeling like my number one person wasn't there for me.
Mm.
And I of course didn't like the fact that that existed for us.
Right.
because your parent is your first person.
Exactly.
So once we finally had that conversation, like really hashed it out,
Mhm.
once I was older, like I think that honestly finally gave us an ability to exhale and
Okay.
truly exist in our present selves of
Got
where we were.
right.
And
So
her
you
really,
say when we had to hash that out, be a little bit more specific. What do you mean by that?
so we literally blew up,
Wow.
right? My mother could be the type where she liked to poke a little bit. And now knowing myself, I'm like, "Ma, let me have some time. I'm over here, you over there.
Right.
We're in the house together, but we're not really speaking much because we had just argued. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep over here, you over there."
Right.
And then one day I'm washing dishes and she said something. And I thought to myself, like, you know how you look at the imaginary camera like it's the office?
Hmm.
I said, oh, she want to do this. Okay. Oh, she want to do it. Cool. And I just was like, I've hated you for the past 10 years. Just saying.
Wow.
And it took her aback because
I'm
she was like,
sure.
what? What? And I was even surprised that it even came out of my mouth. And going into, the fact that I was sexually assaulted,
Mm-hmm.
right? And trying to navigate that, feeling like I navigated that alone.
Hmm.
And, as we all know what trauma can do, it can
Oh,
cause the
yes.
brain to completely forget certain things. So there is a point of my life, which is my middle school years, where I don't remember much at all.
Wow.
It is so blank for me. So I always laugh to people and say, I went from elementary to high school. That's how smart I was.
Right. Right.
And,
Because
a
what
lot of people,
happened in between that
right.
just put you in this shutdown mode. It's a blur.
Yeah, completely.
Wow.
Like when I say a complete blur, like of course in that time Taylor was born,
Hmm.
but I only remember certain things about myself then, like when music became so important to me. Because due to, having that moment or that trauma, I relied on being able to create my own space. So walking in the street, seeing men approach me, even if they weren't coming to speak to me specifically, I would cross the street. I
Hmm.
never made eye contact. I would kind of look down,
Wow.
right? And feeling like I had to get through that on my own because I didn't remember the parts of my mother being a part of that. And
Yeah.
when I said that to her, it shocked her because she's like, T, like I've been there the entire time.
Right.
And it felt as though, you know how, let's say you go out with an evening with your girls and you kind of pop out a little too much, and now everybody's telling you what you did the night before.
Right.
You have no recollection of it.
Hmm.
That's how it felt. And in that moment, I felt like I was angrily crying because I'm like, no, no, you didn't know. We didn't have these conversations. No, you didn't.
Right.
Because I didn't
Because you
have
couldn't remember.
exactly.
Hmm. Wow.
And, I hated that.
But that was a breakthrough moment for you.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
It was finally being able to, like I said, I knew I loved her because she's my mom.
mhm.
But I felt like there was always a piece of me I never allowed her to have. And, finally being able to have that conversation, I really felt like it opened her up to kind of see me
Mhm.
more because, I didn't react in the sense of how, sexual assault can make some people do where, you start acting out, you start doing all these things. Like me, I was always the quiet kid for the most
Right.
part, right? This personality that you see now was not always the case. And people
Mhm.
could not believe that I was the shy kid with braids and glasses. No one can believe it.
No.
But I felt like literally, I felt like my personality changed in a night where I said to myself, I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be the shy, quiet girls because it's the shy, quiet girl that gets targeted.
Wow.
Hmm.
So the
And
reasoning behind that change was still unhealthy.
hmm.
It was still out of hurt, brokenness, trauma that you even made that shift.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
Now how old were you when you and your mom had this conversation? And how far in advance did you have the conversation before your mom's health began to change?
so I would say maybe 2012, 2013, 14, around there, because my mother got sick 2014. So it definitely occurred before.
Okay. Okay.
Her very first instance of going into the hospital in any way was 2014.
Okay.
She was experiencing something happened. So she had this old bruise on her leg from 20 years ago. that had just
Okay.
decided one day it wanted to open back up. And it was
Wow.
bizarre.
Great.
And
Huh.
and it was on her leg. And of course, she went to the doctors and everything, and whatever they had given her or whatever, it was just a very open wound.
Hmm.
And eventually she was bitten in the wound, and it
Oh,
blew her
wow.
leg up to the size of, like, I can't even describe, like, it was like huge. And of course, that week, that day, actually, I was taking a final. And I come home to her in excruciating pain and seeing what I saw, I'm like, we're going to the hospital right now.
Hmm.
What is this?
Right.
And I rushed her to the hospital. It was so bad that she ended up having to be in the burn unit of that hospital because
Oh.
it it fevered from the inside out. So it
Hmm.
was like like her body burnt itself because of the
Wow.
infection.
Right.
And so she was in the hospital for, I want to say, about definitely over a month, maybe two. And in that time, Taylor was 7. So
Mm.
I was out out the hospital with Taylor at the age of 7, by myself with her. I think, 2014, I had to have been 19 at the time. So I'm like navigating now being the sole parent
Right.
because my mom's in the hospital. And unfortunately, because of the Taylor couldn't see her, so there was navigating her missing her,
Right.
not understanding like why I can't see mommy. And I'm
Hmm.
like, you're gonna see her soon. It's like you'll be all right, like you'll be okay.
Right.
And that was the very first time. And then I think honestly, eventually, so of course she had to have surgeries and things like that. But I feel like the real downhill was once she moved to Jersey. She moved to a state where mass transportation doesn't exist like it does in the city.
Right.
It didn't drive. Right? Right. So it was a big shift. And I think even she didn't realize how much of a shift it was because
Right.
a part of so much of our lives was so tied to Brooklyn.
Hmm.
And I just think it was a reality she didn't want to accept. And I felt like ever since the moment she moved out here is when she got sicker.
Got it.
And I think that makes me very sad that even sometimes when I go back up to New York, in my heart, I'm like, this is the last place we were happy and she was better.
Right. And those thoughts of what if she had not moved to New Jersey or what? And mind you, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know if there would have been a difference. We don't know if she would have had more time. We're not sure. We can only speculate at this point, but those are the things that kind of haunt your mind, and that just tap you from time to time to say, could we have had more time?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I get
Okay.
that. I get that. And so fast forward to those last moments because that was a difficult time, for you and for Taylor,
Hmm. Yes.
regarding your mom when she made that final trip to the hospital.
Hmm. So that was 2023, June 3rd.
Mhm.
I remember that day clear as day. Actually, no, I want to say kind of go before that. Taylor had just had her Sweet 16 earlier that May.
Okay.
And that's the last event that my mom was at.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, even though I had been seeing my mother all the time, I don't think I was ever stopping to really see how sick she was because it was always in reaction.
Right.
She's not feeling good. Let's get her to the hospital. I'm like, all right, Taylor, let's go to the grocery store. So you have groceries in the house. Like it was just one thing after the other. I was never really stopping to see. And it wasn't until she walked into the party because I had bought her a jumpsuit to wear.
Hmm.
She looked so small. And literally, Taylor and I made eye contact from across the room at the party. And she just nodded her head. And I felt like it was at that moment that I realized that my mother was sick.
Sick. Got it.
Hmm.
Got it.
And then, being at the hospital, the only times I could really ever see her was on the weekends because at the job that I was at, my job, I didn't get out till 5 and visiting hours was at 6. And it's a little over an
Mhm.
hour drive up there,
So you
you know.
couldn't make
So
it. So
right. So
you
she
couldn't make
relied
it.
on me coming on the weekends. She looked forward to it because she hated the hospital.
Mm.
Ever since that time in 2014 when she had to be in there for so long, she hated it. And I think that's honestly what kind of unfortunately fueled her not seeking the medical treatment I felt like she should have
Hmm.
at a timely fashion she should have. Just hospitals became a fear for her. It was a place where all control is gone.
Right.
You have no choice but
Mm.
to be there if you want to
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah.
And I think as the time went on, I remember I was going up there. The last time I was going to see her, it was Father's Day. Because of course, always I grew up in a single parent household. I'm gonna tell you Happy Mother's Day and Happy Father's Day. So, I was on my way up there and got there and was on the phone with her as I was driving up there. So she knew I was there.
Right.
And, at this point, they had said that she had developed COVID somehow. And so they had her in an isolation room, so they wouldn't let me in. And, I ended up turning around and I left, and she was furious and she wanted to leave. And, the doctors are calling me. They're like, your mom wants to go, like, but she's not well, like, she can't leave. And so, I'm trying to talk her down because I know as much as I would want to be able to cure her, I can't.
Hmm.
I don't have that expertise at all.
Right.
All I can do is, yes, get you back home, try to have things in the house for you to be comfortable, but where you are in your health, I can't do
Right.
anything. So I convinced her to just to stay, let them do what they needed to do. And then eventually she she had caught pneumonia
Wow.
and her body went into organ failure. So it was like down, down, down. Then there was like a second of like, okay, some things are kind of sort of looking up a little bit, and then it just fully went down.
Mhm.
And that was the very first time that Taylor and I ever felt, wow, she's never coming back. Like she always came home, always. So I think in that, so we never really internalized the fact that she was going back and forth to the hospital as many times as she did because she always came home. So we just
Um,
saw it as
right.
let's get it done. Patch her up
Right.
and we'll get her home.
And she'll be back.
She'll be back.
Right. I remember you and we talked a lot.
Hmm.
When you started the job, literally you were supposed to start,
In the summer, yeah.
right? But you did not because your mom
Mhm.
had passed.
Yep.
And that what date was that?
So my mom passed June 30th,
June
2023.
30th, right? And so you were supposed to start July 1st.
Hmm.
And push that back a little bit. I was away. I actually wasn't even there yet. I didn't come until a little bit later. But when you and I connected, because of the school that we were in and how we were growing it, like literally from the ground up, you were up. I made you. I
Yeah,
voluntold you.
told.
I voluntold you that you were a part of my leadership team. And
Hmm.
so, because I didn't really have a leadership team, but I saw the potential in you. I saw the heart. I heard the ideas that you had. Like you were just amazing. And so it caused us to really talk a lot, to interact a lot, to really, really get to know each other. And I remember because this was the first year
Hmm.
that you were going through all firsts, every
Yeah.
single first, because what people understand is when someone you love passes away, every single part of that year is a first without them.
Hmm.
And I remember we were talking, I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but in that conversation, you said something that when I tell you it tugged on my heart so much, you said, I hate that I have to refer to her in the past tense
Hmm.
and that is now my reality. And when I tell you that thing, oof, that got me
Hmm.
because I can't imagine having to deal with that at such a young age.
Hmm.
You're young.
Yeah.
You were how old when your mom passed?
27. Hmm.
You know, that's that's young.
Yeah, I was turning 28 that year, that
Right.
November.
That November.
Yeah.
But I
Hmm.
remember that. And so how did you navigate that first year? All of those firsts. How did how did you navigate that while balancing now becoming the mother to your younger sister?
Hmm.
How did you deal with that? How did you get through it? What did you do?
Well, thankfully, I didn't use substance abuse.
Hmm.
because that would have been
Right.
an
Many people do.
automatic,
Hmm.
automatically. And I think because I started at the job, what, August 7th, I had just buried my mother 2 weeks prior.
Right.
And you didn't know that. You didn't know the reason why I wasn't there that summer.
Mhm. I did not.
So, I remember it clear as day, like when you did your whole "Hi, Miss Solis." I'm like, "Hi." And you were like, "Oh, I didn't see that you were here." And I'm like, My mom passed," because they hadn't told you. The way your face just, I could tell that it just broke for me. And you hugged me for, I feel like, just felt like forever, that moment. And even that first day where we had a PD, of course, and the activity had something to do with family.
Hmm.
And literally, I had to get up and walk out
Right.
because I couldn't do it. And thankfully, there was someone where I was, and they just hugged me for
Mhm.
however long and just let me cry. I felt like being able to be in a new place aided in that. I told myself, I said, okay, I'm in a new place. And I think having your spirit, your energy,
Mhm.
it helped me get through it as well as the students. And I've said that to a few of them where, you guys held on to me and didn't know who I was, but took me in so effortlessly. And there were days where I would be crying in my office, where, there was one day I had a session with a student. She came in crying because her and her mother had gotten into an argument that morning.
Mhm.
And her mom to her was her best friend. And, I was able to get through it.
Mhm.
Let her say all the things she needed to say. And then, once she left, my intern at the time just looked at me and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Hmm." And then she just looked. She said, "Are you sure?" And in that moment, I just bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
Bawled. I spent a lot of days at work crying my eyes out.
Mhm.
At least trying to give myself those moments of feeling what I needed to feel in the moment. Because as you know, grief or anything that's outside of I need to be able to get through my day,
Mhm.
you push it away,
You do.
because I don't have time for this,
Right.
right? And I think even with all the tears and all the things, so many people were always, because some people don't know what to say, it's, but you got to be there for Taylor. And of course that would have occurred, but I'm like, I lost my mom too,
Right.
right?
Mhm. Right.
And being the one who's known her, of course, the longest, because I am the oldest, right? I felt like I was forced to have to know how to get through it,
Yeah.
and because of course Taylor was 16. So that's ridiculously young to lose a
Absolutely.
parent. But losing a parent in any way, and I tell anyone, it's being a part of the No Mom Club is not somewhere you want to be.
No.
And
Especially in those younger years.
Mhm.
Those
Right.
years where you're still impressed. You need your mom. You need the guidance. 20s
Mhm.
are hard to navigate. That is, I tell people all the time, probably the most difficult decade of your
Mhm.
life is 20 to 30.
Mhm.
You are figuring out who you are, or trying to figure out who you are, or being reintroduced to who you are, and trying to just navigate that time is hard enough.
Mhm.
But then to have not have the main person, to have your person, like you said,
Mhm.
that's difficult.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
having to become the person for somebody, because now that's you stepped up into
Mhm.
that role. Now you are the person for somebody else.
Yep.
And I love the relationship that you and Taylor have. I love it. I y'all are funny to me. But I love that she respects you enough, but still embraces the fact that you're her sister. You're
Mhm.
not her mom.
Mhm.
You're her sister. But she respects the wisdom and the experience and the things that you're able to give her that your mother gave
Mhm.
you. I'm sorry, gave you.
Mhm.
And so I, to this day, I don't know how I would feel.
Mhm.
One thing I do know when it comes to grief, and you mentioned this, sometimes people don't know what to say.
Mhm.
and I encourage you in that moment, don't say anything. Like
Yeah.
sometimes just being present is more powerful than saying something that you think is right, but it's very ends up very insensitive.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's not intentional. It's not that people intentionally are trying to harm you. People, I think, fear silence.
Yes. And not a lot of
They're
people.
afraid of the quietness.
Mhm.
It's uncomfortable. Well, this is too much. It's overwhelming. So let me say something.
Right.
But in you saying something, you're literally pouring salt into an open wound when a person is dealing with something that is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so sometimes just be there. Just be there. If we just got to sit in silence while I'm giving you a hug, then that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But I encourage people to understand everybody grieves differently.
Mhm.
Everybody responds differently to grief and to trauma and to loss and all of the things.
Mhm.
But sometimes being quiet is the best thing.
Yeah. And I love, and as you noted before, I am someone who loves quiet. And I think so many people didn't realize in saying you have to be there for Taylor all the time,
Mm,
that it felt as though my grief was invalidated.
right.
And, and
Mm,
I knew they didn't mean it in that way, but I felt like I couldn't have the chance to grieve just as much
right.
because Taylor exists.
Hmm.
And, I've admitted to her in the moments and I love that her and I can have those moments because she's very similar to me where she's got to want to let you in like that. So you have to give her space, right? But, admitting to her that she's the reason why I got through this,
Mm,
right? Because I can honestly say there were many days where I'm like, why am I still here?
right. Yeah.
What, why am I still here? And, even literally the morning after my mother passed, one of the last conversations her and I had was about me applying for my doctorate program. And I sat there and wrote my essay in tears that following morning and hit submit. And Taylor was just like, are you really gonna do it? She's like, well, you have to do it now. She's like, mommy passed away, so you gotta do it now.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Like, you have to do it now.
You don't
And
have a choice.
I'm like, I ain't gotta do it. She was like, you gonna do it.
You.
And even in that, this being a first for me, um, the first degree that I will be getting without my mom,
Mm,
right? I have three of them,
mhm,
and I know that education was always our thing that kept us the closest,
right.
right? Because I love my mother helped me love school the way that I do. I am the biggest nerd I am because of my mother.
Because of your
And
mom.
yes, because of her, because her brain was huge and she just made learning fun because I never just learned at school. That was not how her house was set up.
Mhm.
I had regular homework and my mother always had workbooks for me. So once I finished that homework, I had to do her homework. And learning was something, we always would talk about where that is your ticket to anywhere you want to go. So you
Mm,
want to be great at it, right? And because school is something that always connected with us, I was like, okay, this is one thing I can do for us. And it has been hard, but I think the hardest thing that I felt was my first birthday that year. And I honestly sat in my room in the dark and it was 11 o'clock p.m. And at the once 11 hit, I cried that entire hour until 12
mm,
because I didn't want another birthday.
right.
I didn't want it. And in the years since, I have cried at the stroke of midnight. I was literally at a casino table last year at the stroke of midnight and had to get up
Mhm.
and bawled my eyes out, right? And, got myself back. But that's kind of been my experience with my birthday these past 2 years. And now
Mm,
I will be 30 this year. And it's insane that I am hitting a milestone year. And I will be in Aruba for my 30th birthday. But it's
you're gonna
like,
love it. You are going to love it.
yeah, yeah. And it just blew my mind that it's been 2 years.
Years already.
2 years.
Right.
And even like when you had mentioned earlier, when I had said like talking to her about her in the past tense, I catch myself even still saying, "Oh, my mother loves," everything is present for me.
Right.
And having to even catch that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why? Why do I have to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It shouldn't be this way.
Right.
And I think it's so easy to fall into a place where all the what ifs or what I could have done and all the things. And, it took other people saying to me, like, Tiana, you were the daughter any mother would have asked for your mother during that time. Because in my mind, I'm like, there was something I had to have missed. There's something I probably didn't do, like, why this, why that? And sitting in that is what the heartbreaking thing was.
Right.
Sitting in the fact that in those last few days, because we had her for 2 days where we were able to come back to the hospital. She was ventilated, all the things. And that last day watching her pass away, we stood outside the doors
Mm-hmm.
and we just watched. And that flat line, it just, I broke.
Yeah.
And I had already broken. Taylor actually she was my rock those last 2 days because, she teared, but I felt like she didn't really cry until my mother fully passed.
Right.
That first day we had to go there, I cried. I had cried that entire time because, of course, as people know, being the oldest child is not always the best when you have to make certain decisions.
No, it isn't.
And sitting there listening to them tell me all these things, and you got to sign all this, and I'm like, what?
Right.
Like,
Right.
what do you mean?
Mm.
In the case she does this, in case she does that, like, what? And as the oldest child, that because she wasn't married anymore,
Right.
it was my decision, and that is the hardest responsibility I think I've ever taken on in my entire
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely. And something that never leaves you.
Hmm.
Those moments will always be with you. Mind you, many other moments will too, but those final ones, they're gonna hit the hardest.
Yeah,
Um, and once you're exposed, you can't be unexposed. Once you've
yeah,
experienced that, the
mhm,
flat line, the conversation, the decisions, and the reactions both of you and of your sister, all of those things
mhm,
forever implanted in your mind and in your heart. And so it has to be a daily battle every day to get over that and to
mhm,
create the legacy that you now have to leave for her, that she has left for you and through you, in a new way, has to be challenging.
yeah. It is hard watching Taylor's first. I think, not that I've gotten over my first, but
Right.
watching Taylor graduate high school this year
Right.
and plan out an amazing graduation party for her because I knew if my mother was here, it would have been just as big.
Hmm.
My bank account don't like that.
Right.
I knew. Okay, but I
That
knew
part.
I knew that I had to make this one of the best events
Mm.
ever for her. Because my mom was that person where she celebrated everything, even if it annoyed me. I'm like, Mom, it's just X, Y, and Z. She's like, so you my baby T, so we gonna do it. And I'm like,
That's
why?
it.
And even like I graduated with my master's during COVID. And so I didn't have the graduation.
Right.
But I had purchased the robe. And literally that day, I believe it was what, May 28th. She
Hmm.
was like, T, you gonna put the robe on? I'm like, no. So I take put that robe on. And you gonna take some pictures right
Look,
outside this house.
that wasn't a question, little girl.
Right.
I wasn't T, will you? It's T, you're gonna.
Right. Like it just, and my mom celebrated me in ways that I think all parents should celebrate their children.
Hmm.
Because of course that helps to build your sense of self.
Right.
And having her as my biggest cheerleader, I think there have been moments where I felt like I don't want to have any more firsts.
Mm.
Certain decisions that I felt like I've made for myself where I don't want to do this without my mom. And, having to accept that the world continues,
Mhm.
life goes on,
Right.
even without your favorite person in the world. And I think so many people, want to be so supportive, but also don't realize you're trying to step into a place you can't fill
Right.
and you will never be able to, right? And it's not to say that I don't love them dearly,
Hmm.
but you are not her. You will never be. Because at the end of the day, I will always want her, and it's definitely been hard navigating, my facial expressions, as you know. When it when it comes to allowing people to try to be supportive,
Hmm.
and trying to also create that space for them too, because there were so many people that loved my mother. And the wild part is I knew the effect that my mom had on people because even when Taylor and I were having a discussion one of those last 2 days, literally we said to ourselves, how are we gonna tell Auntie Jackie and my godmother
Hmm.
that she's dying? And I mean, like, these are women, two amazing women, my two of my favorite people, that they have been best friends for 40 years.
Hmm.
And not on and off, they disconnected and got back. Like, no, they have known each other since middle school.
Wow.
And even as her child, I don't have anything on a 40-year friendship.
Mm-mm-mm.
And my heart broke more for them. And I'm like, losing your best friend. My mom was my best friend, but they were best friends.
For
And
years,
it's
decades,
decades,
decades.
decades.
Mhm.
And I appreciate so much that they had chosen to stay in our lives,
Yeah.
because they just lost their best friend. They could have just said, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
I can't. But when I tell you that they have been there for all the things,
Mhm.
and I appreciate them so much for it, for choosing to continue to love me even without her here.
Right.
And
It's the old adage, it takes a village.
yes.
It takes a village to raise a child. And
Hmm.
so the fact that not only they weren't a part of a fake village, like
Right.
they know that they are a part of your village and have remained a part of your village. And those are the things when we think about how we get through,
Hmm.
how we go another day, how we continue to smile and laugh and embrace the joy. It's because of people like that.
Hmm.
It's because of the memories. It's because of certain things will happen. You go, oh, I can hear my mother. Like you hold on to those things. That's what gets you through. For June, I just did a Father's Day podcast and I had three gentlemen on there who had experienced loss.
Hmm.
And I remember one of them, and this is not verbatim, it's not a quote, but one of my guests said he learned how to embrace joy, hold on to joy despite what he was dealing with in his current moments. And so life was lifing, things were happening, but he was able to hold the love and the joy and life and balance that at that time. And so, although sometimes it may seem like this tug of war,
Hmm. Yeah.
you get through, you learn day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, how to just balance that, how to grieve her loss
Hmm.
while still embracing and encouraging her legacy and the
Hmm.
joy that she brought you and the things that she instilled in you and all that you have, like you said, even your necklace, the things that you have to hold on to, that keep her present in your life despite the fact that she is not physically here.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you mentioned joy because I tell people happiness and joy are very different.
Oh, extremely. Mm,
And
mm,
I can definitely say with my mother's passing, I have been quite intentional about choosing my joy. There is nothing that can occur that will ever be harder to navigate than losing my mother.
mhm,
So if this situation, these people do not bring me joy, oh, you have to go.
mm.
You have to go. And I tell people, people talk about, oh, like, but you can't be selfish. You can.
You can.
You
And
can.
I can and I do.
Like you can, because at the end of the day, this is your life.
Right.
And the fact that you're even choosing to continue to stay in it, right? You can't hold the weight of everyone else. And I think I also had to learn that with regards to, hearing and feeling other people's, their experience with losing my mom, but also realizing it is not my weight to carry your grief and mine.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can support you in this, yes, but I have to put me first.
Mm.
Have to. And, especially with having Taylor and, watching her grieve this and my heart breaking the fact that this is even a reality for her,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And, I love the fact that her college essay actually talked about my mother passing away. And it just broke my heart to read it. But, I love the fact that she ended it with resilience, because that's really what it all bottles down to,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
Choosing to continue to live life
Hmm.
in a way that we know that our mom would be extremely proud of us,
Yes.
right? And I know, even Taylor always says, mommy wouldn't like that. I'm like, well, she could tell me later. But right, where I love that her and I can talk
You
about
can tell me later.
you could tell me later, right? And even how I interact with people, my mom used to always say, T, you just gotta stop being mean to people. I'm like, you too nice to people. That's There we go.
You balanced each other out.
We
That is,
did.
yes,
We
yes,
did. We
yes.
did. But I will honestly say, like,
Mhm.
my mother was the kinder parts of me. And I think in those moments when I've realized where I have to accept kindness, I think of her
That's
because I know, I tend to be the black cat of the
mhm.
friend group. Very, I don't want to talk to you, leave me alone, right? And I love the fact that that love is something that I know, even if I, want to be stubborn and push it away,
Mhm.
right? I know that I know what real love feels like.
Yes,
And it was because of my mother.
I love that. Well, I'm just so thankful. This has been just such a beautiful conversation and a memorial to her.
Yes.
I know as she is looking down, she's saying, I'm proud. I'm proud of my baby girl. I did better than I thought I would do.
So did I, because we completely thought we were going to be on here distraught.
But you know, but I think because we've talked so much, like we have talked so much about your mom, like that is a space that I have always allowed you to operate in
Oh, yes,
as it
100%.
relates to me, having that opportunity to be able to continue to talk about her. A lot of times people, I don't want to talk about it. No, talk about her. That's what keeps her close to you, present, her legacy. And so I think because of that we were able to, but I'm grateful. You have come such a long way and you have shown a strength and a resiliency in this that has been amazing. You held strong, you stood tall through several losses. I mean, we don't even have time to go into that first year because you lost, you didn't just lose your mom.
Right.
You had close friends and you had there were other things that you dealt with in that first year as it related to loss and grief, but you handled it with such strength and resilience. And so I applaud you. I'm always proud of you. That's one thing I always say to you, as your godmom.
My
I
adopted mom. I know God mom.
okay, okay. Well,
Another one of the
I
kids.
want to puff myself up, but yes,
I'm, I'm another one of the kids. I already told
you
you.
are. When I tell you fit in, so oh my gosh, you and
Hmm.
Cece get on my nerves, but you fit right on in with my children. But I am so proud of you, incredibly proud of you. I cannot wait to watch you walk across that stage as Dr. Tiana Solis. I cannot wait. I told you I'm so anything you need in that, you got. But I thank you. I thank you for embracing me. I thank you for trusting me in that and knowing that you have a lifelong mom who is here for as long as God gives me on this earth. You know how to get me.
It better be the 200.
Well, it might be 120, but you know what? Regardless, I'm gonna take all of them that I have. That I have, I'm gonna take. So
Yes.
yes. So anyway, Thank you for all you do with the children, with the youth, with your sister, just being you. Thank you, because you are definitely impactful and have so much to offer. So we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
To the audience, thank you so much. This has been refreshing to know, but if you are a young person out there who is grieving the loss of your parent, especially your mom, but of any parent, just know that there are steps after that. There is life after that, and you're going to get through it. Tap into your village, tap into your heart and your memories and those things, and just know that that parent is right there with you, guiding you through, and will always remain in your heart. So, for those who are watching, if this helped you in any way, I just encourage you to share it. I would love for you to like and subscribe. However, for me, it's more important that you share this information with as many people as you can, especially if you know that it will help them. And if you need to connect with me, on a deeper level, I do currently have and am launching my website, www.drsherich.com. So head on over to my website, and if we need to do a consultation or connect for some aftercare, I'm definitely there for you. So T, thank you again for being here. For those who watch, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Surviving with She Rich. If this content helped you, hit like, subscribe, and share. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dr. She Rich 4.